graders. This is Mrs. Gonzalez. Today we're going to be talking about how do we locate, compare, and order rational numbers. So go ahead and get your Cornell lines drawn in, get your title, which is your EQ for today, so that we can get started on our notes for today. All right, so first we need to get a definition written down. So inequality, which is not new, you just probably don't remember inequality. An inequality is a statement that two quantities are not equal. Are not equal. So let me show you, because you guys, when you see the signs, you're going to remember. All right, so remember these signs? Your less than or greater than signs. Okay, so you guys have learned in elementary your method of remembering which one is less than or greater than. I do this. So if you turn this to the side, that looks like a capital L, right? For my less than. If you put a C around this one, that looks like a G for my greater than. So that is how I remember my signs, my less than or greater than signs, my inequality signs. Okay, so there we go. That's an inequality. You're less than or you're greater than. So when you're working with inequalities, it's best to put them on a number line. So let's take a look at a number line here. So you have 0, and I'm just going to split it up by halves. So go ahead and draw in your number line. So I have room there. All right, so we'll do the negative side. Okay. So when you're looking at a number line, as my numbers are going to the right from 0, what's happening to these numbers? As I'm going to the right, they're increasing, right? They're getting greater in value. So greater, they're increasing. Now, going to the left from 0, going from 0 to the left, what's happening to these numbers? They're decreasing. They're getting less in value, right? So less in value, these numbers are decreasing. So on your negative side, as you're getting further away from 0, you're actually getting less in value. So let's look at some examples. So do example 1. So -3, we're going to compare -3 to 4. Okay, which inequality sign should go here? Well, on this one, hopefully you guys won't need to use a number line, because we know anytime we have a negative and a positive, your negative number is always going to be less than your positive number, right? So -3 is less than 4. That one was easy. How about when we have -5 compared to -1? Okay, so I don't have -5 on the number line here, but I know -5, it's going to be way off over here, right? So -5 would be somewhere way down here. Okay, so -5 is further away from 0 than -1 is. Here's -1. So remember, the further away from 0 I'm getting on the negative side, those values are actually less in value, or those numbers are less in value. I said that wrong. So -5, is that less than or greater than -1? It's less than, right? Because it's further away from 0. -5 is here, -1 is here. -1 is actually greater than -5. So what if I had, let's see, I already started with the brown. -1.5 compared to -2. All right, so let's use our number line. Here's -1.5, and I'm just going to put it out there. And then here's -2. Okay, who's further away from 0? -2 is, right? So -2, as we're getting further away from 0, these values are getting smaller. So -2 is actually less than -5. or negative 1.5, negative 1.5 is greater than negative 2. Make sense? Okay, so you see how much easier it is to compare these when you put them on the number line? So if you're that visual type person that you have to draw stuff, draw out your number line and put those numbers on the number line. Let's look at if we order temperatures. So here's another example. Example 2. Order temperatures from coldest to warmest. I'm going to give you that data here. So from coldest to warmest, so let's say we have negative, what's the ones I use? 18 degrees, 5 degrees. Let's throw in the negative 11 degrees. Let's say 50 degrees. Negative 3 and 0 degrees. There we go. There's enough data there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to draw a number line. I'm going to put these on a number line, and as I'm placing them on the number line, I'm going to go ahead and cross them out. So I'm going to go with coldest. Okay, coldest, remember when you're thinking about coldest, what type of temperatures are we dealing with? Okay, we're dealing with the negative one. So my negative numbers, we have negative 11 and negative 3. Well, who's further away from 0? Negative 11. So negative 11 is going to be over here. Cross it out. Negative 3 will be somewhere here. We're going to cross it out. Who would we place on the number line next? The 0. So let's go ahead and put 0 degrees there. I forgot to put the degree sign. Cross out 0. All right, so who's next? Well, we have 18, 5, and 50. Well, 5 degrees would be next. Then 18 degrees, right? And last but not least, 50 degrees. So we are in order from coldest, right? Coldest over here to warmest. So if you list this, if you're asked from coldest to warmest, you're going to list it 11 degrees, negative 3 degrees, 0 degrees, 5 degrees, 18 degrees, and 50 degrees. So there's my final answer. And if they had asked you to list them from warmest to coldest, well, it's already on the number line for you. So now I would just list them from right to left. It's already in order. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at when we compare or order decimals. Compare or order decimals. Okay, just put a little cloud around that. All right, so when we compare and order decimals, you're going to separate your positives and negatives. I'm just going to write it that way. And write them vertically. Two, you're going to line up the decimals. And of course, you want to fill in those placeholders with a 0. With a 0, just going to write it as a number. And then your final step, just order or compare, whatever they're asking you to do. So order or compare them. Okay, so let's take a look at this example here. You're going to order greatest, so I'm just going to put the G, to least, capital L. Greatest to least. So here's your data. I'm going to give you the data. So we have to order from greatest to least, negative 17.4 negative 11, negative 17.52, or negative 17 and 52 hundredths, and then 5. Okay. So first we're going to separate the positives and negatives. So here, and they're already separated. I didn't even realize I did that. So here's my negatives. They're already separated. There's my negatives, and here's my one positive, right? And then we're going to line them up. We're going to write them vertically. We're going to line up the decimals and then fill in the placeholders. So I'm going to go ahead and just line them up over here. So we have negative 17.4. Negative 11. Where's my decimal in negative 11? Do you guys remember? At the end. And then we have negative 17.52. And then we have the 5 by itself. There's my positive. So here's my negatives and here's my positive. So my negatives, I do have some placeholders that I can fill in. I can fill in a 0 here and then 2 zeros here. So my decimals are lined up. I can easily compare them, but I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to draw a number line, and I'm going to put them on the number line. The 5 is easy. I know, let's say 0 would be here, right? I'm just going to write it really small because 0 is not one of my it's not part of my data. So 5 would be, let's say, right here. Now I need to determine, okay, where do I put these on my number line? So who's further away from 0? Well, hopefully you guys said negative 17 and 52 hundredths. So negative 17 and 52 hundredths would go here. Forgot to cross that one out. So we're going to cross that one out. And then negative 17 and 4/10. And then negative 11 will be somewhere here. So now when we list it from greatest to least, it's already done for me here, but I do need to list it. So I'm just going to list it right above it because I don't have any room below it. So I'm going to list them here. So greatest to least, so my greatest number is 5, negative 11, negative 17 and 4/10, and then negative 17 and 52 hundredths. There's my answer. Just list those in order from greatest to least, right? All right, so let's take a look at what we're comparing decimals. So I'm going to go to the back side because I've run out of room here. So go ahead and flip the page. I'm going to draw my Cornell lines. All right, so if I have, we're going to compare the following decimals. So we compare, you'll probably see something like this, or they're going to say compare the inequalities. So 3 and 2/10 compared to 4 and 6/10. So these are both positive. So we can easily see if they're positive, that's easy. I probably don't have to line these up and put them on a number line. I know that 3 and 2/10 is less than, let me find my green, it's less than 4 and 6/10, right? That one's pretty easy. But what about if I have negative 5 and 32 hundredths compared to negative 5 and 2/10? So this one I probably do want to go ahead and line them up. So I'm going to line them up. So negative 5 and 32 hundredths and negative 5 and 2/10. Okay, I'm going to fill in my placeholder with a 0. Well, I can see here, if I put this on a number line, 0 is over here. Who's farther away from 0? The negative 5 and 32/10, right? So here's negative 5 and 32/10. Negative 5 and 2/10 would be here. So remember, the further away from 0, what's happening to these numbers? What's happening to the value of these numbers? It's decreasing, or it's getting smaller as I'm getting further away from 0 on the negative side, right? So we can easily see here that negative 5 and 32/10 is actually less than negative 5 and 2/10. Okay? All right, so we're going to do some practice in a moment. So I would like for you guys to write your reflection at the bottom. Today I learned. Finish that statement. Tell me what you learned in your own words from your notes. Or if you're still confused about something, go ahead and write down, I'm still confused.